Since 1992, Genesis House has been helping real people heal from addiction on their private recovery campus in beautiful Palm Beach County, Florida. Their family-owned program is accredited by the Joint Commission and offers detox and dual diagnosis treatment in a comfortable and confidential setting. At Genesis House, they focus on treating the underlying causes of addiction. Their comprehensive approach includes psychiatric care, individual and small group therapy, trauma healing techniques, and holistic care including yoga, massage, and animal-assisted therapy. After treatment, their clients enjoy the lifelong support of a nationwide network of Genesis House alumni. Call Genesis House today at 1-800-737-0933 to speak with someone who understands. Visit them on the web at www.genesishouse.net. It's time to start your journey to a long and successful recovery.
Friends in Recovery, the Addiction Recovery Podcast, presents the Friends in Recovery Saturday Shares, as they share their stories about the real issues of addiction, treatment, and recovery.
Excellent. So everyone, this is Cole. Cole, tell us about your experience, strength, and hope.
Hi, everyone. My name is Cole. I am a woman in long-term recovery. My sobriety date is October 16th, 1987. I'm an alcoholic and an addict, addicted to many things along my way, and just blessed to be here with you folks. First of all, I just want to take a brief moment of silence and just say a quick prayer for Ed and for healing for him. So I just want to lift my brother Ed up and ask that God's healing touch be upon him, and just heal him completely. In Jesus' name I pray. I don't like that he's sick and that he's not here tonight, but an honor and privilege to be with you folks. My experience, strength, and hope with addiction. You know, I have the youngest of 6 kids, came from an amazing family. We were raised without TV, we would have to go outside and play. And on Sundays we did entertainment. So you had all week to come up with something, and we would perform for our family. So it was a pretty fun life until my dad had an affair with our 18-year-old nanny and got her pregnant and left my mom. And it was like a referee just took the gun and said, let the races begin. And chaos had entered my home. Siblings, being the youngest of 6, the older ones knew what was going on. I didn't understand it because my dad and my nanny would have me on weekends. And to me, it was just my nanny. It wasn't registering that this is my dad's wife. And a few things happened throughout that time. Like my mom, she would hide in her closet and cry. And we knew she was crying. And what that taught me as a child was to hide your emotions. And then I had a brother who, the next in line, some of my siblings started to drink and drug, and I remember I got afraid of them. They became these loving kids became monsters. And I remember being a child saying, I will never do that. So they instilled fear in me in a young age. And then I had a brother next to me in age, and he would hit me a lot. And I'd cry and I'd tell my mother, he hates me. All he does is hit me. And she said, no, honey, he loves you. And as a child, that taught me that love meant being hit, which impacts my decisions and relationships later on. So just growing up both my parents were adult children of alcoholics, so they didn't drink. But obviously, my dad had another addiction, and my mom was kind of sort of on if you don't talk about it, it's kind of not real. So on one day, my grandmother ended up moving in and helping my mom raise the 6 kids. And one Sunday we're baking, and my grandmother had vanilla. She was putting it in the thing, and I smelt it and I took a sip, and I was like, this is great. And I drank the whole bottle of vanilla. So for a 7-year-old, I got a little buzz. I started running in circles, ran into the refrigerator, lied on the floor, and couldn't stop laughing. And I could not forget. I couldn't stop thinking of, when are we getting more vanilla? So my mom typically grocery shops on Thursday, and from Sunday to Thursday, I kept on saying, wonder if mom's getting vanilla. I wonder if she's getting vanilla, like just vanilla. Vanilla was everything. So my mom comes home from grocery shopping. I go running out to help with the bags, and she's like, why are you helping? That's not your chore. And I'm rifling through the bags, right? And today I can equate it to like that last, like going through looking for my last hit, my last drink. Like by the time I get through all the bags, there was no vanilla. And I was like, oh, and that's kind of a little bit about how I knew at a young age, not knowing at a young age, but when I look back at my history of different things, I was definitely super sensitive. Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, I had to go into therapy after it because people made fun of him when Frosty the Snowman died, and then came back to life. Really stuff. I'm an empath, so huge sensitivity. And one of the things that I did enjoy doing was cheerleading. My goal was to be a New England Patriot cheerleader. And I started at a young age cheering. And I just knew like that was going to be my goal. And lo and behold, as I start experimenting, my first time that me and my friends, when we all started babysitting, was like, who's going to steal the booze this week? My first drink was total annihilation. It was not even a buzz. It was drunk as a skunk and waking up the next day, and I can't wait to do this again. And that's just kind of how like my drinking went. Like I never came out of the gate and just tried this here, tried this there. It was like full blown, oh my gosh, let's get hammered. That was my favorite thing. Let's get hammered. And I was young. I was too young to be drinking. I was 13. So from like 13 to 16, drinking was really fun for me. Like I would fall out of moving cars. I was like, back when I was growing up, there was a show called Soap, and you snap your fingers and you can't see yourself. So I would, if a cop came, I'd snap my fingers and think he couldn't see me, and they'd be like, okay, can you put your hands behind your back, blah, blah, blah. And that's how my nights went. And so from 13 to 16, it was fun. But I also started to stay back in school. My grades failed. And one of the biggest things was getting kicked off of the cheerleading squad because they frown upon cheerleaders being drunk in uniform. So that kind of was a little upsetting. And then when I was 16 years old, my first boyfriend, he was my first boyfriend since 6th grade. He passed away when we were in high school from a rare heart disease. And that is when I crossed into the line of alcoholism, that invisible line that they speak of. Like, I no longer drank for fun. I drank to survive. I didn't know how to articulate my feelings. I couldn't believe that God would take him. And I went on this vengeful rage of, I am going to kill myself, go to heaven and kill God, so no one down here suffers anymore. And that's how I drank and drug. And I humiliated my family. I went to church on Christmas Eve and midnight mass, stood on the pew and told everyone they could go home because God doesn't exist. I was carried out of church, and I just couldn't believe I went around just telling everyone how bad this God was. And that's how I ran. By the time I'm 17, I'm doing things that I swore I'd never do. I have now entered into white powder, which became my best friend because I love to drink, and now I can drink and stay up 24/7. So this was amazing for me. And again, doing things that I shouldn't be doing. I get involved in a relationship where it's physical, abusive, but he loves me. And I leave my beautiful home in Methuen, where I grew up, and I go live on Park Street, Lawrence for a little bit. And that's kind of where I hit my bottom. Doing things that I shouldn't be doing, getting arrested, humiliating my family, humiliating myself. I kept on lowering the bar for myself. Like I just kept on taking it down. Like, what's it going to take? And then I left that relationship on my 20th birthday, and I went back to my parents, and I know that something was up. I was like, yeah, something's up with my drinking. Like, I can't stop, you know? And then March was never a good month for me. March was my boyfriend who passed away. His name was Roger. His birthday was in March, and he passed away 3 weeks and a day after his birthday in March. So March was just like suicide month for me. How am I leaving? How am I trying this year? What am I doing? And March of 1987, I had decided that I was going to drive my car off of a cliff. And somehow, in a blackout, I ended up going from Methuen to Haverhill, Mass, picking up friends, and from Haverhill, Mass to Lowell, Mass. And I went through a major intersection, and I hit another car, and I almost killed 6 people. And that kind of really started to really wake me up with, wow, like there's a real problem here. So I was back at the house with my parents, and I'm like, I just need to stop drinking. I think I took one too many hits to the head, because there's some reason why I can't. And then so I would, on Thursday nights, I'd be like, if anyone calls, I'm not home. I'm not home. Just tell people I'm not home. I'd be up in my bedroom going, and I'd open up the bedroom door. I'm like, hey, was that the phone I heard ringing? And they're like, yeah, no, and like just getting restless, irritable, discontent. And the next thing you know, like I'm jumping out my bedroom window onto the garage, and I'm shimmying down the side of the garage. And my parents are in the driveway, like, why aren't you using the front door? I'm like, I don't know. Because I needed to escape. I needed to get out. So I tried to quit drinking on my own, and I couldn't. And this dance went on for a while. And Memorial Day weekend of 1987, we were having a party for one of my siblings. It was a significant birthday. And my mom had said, I need you home. I need your help. Like, this is a get together. Your relatives will be here. And with every ounce of earnesty in my body and in my heart, I looked at my mom and I said, absolutely, I'll be there. I got you, Mom. I said, I'm just going to go out for a little bit. And on a Friday night, I'm all dressed up in this cute pink and white dress with these little pink ankle socks, and just going to go out for a few. In and out of a blackout, I'm at Hudson Speedway, which is a racetrack that we used to have. And I'm in the pit changing the tire of one of the race cars. I got tar in my hair. In and out of a blackout, I'm on Route 93, stealing exit 54, which is a very large sign, which I'm still the proud owner of. In and out of a blackout, I'm at my friend's trailer park on top of the trailer, and my friends are trying to figure out how we're getting me down. In and out of a blackout, I'm playing cards at someone's house. I don't even know where I am. And then it's time to go home. And it is now 3 days later. And when I walked in, my mom looked at me, and it was that look of disgust. And it was just silence. She probably looked at me a million times that way, but for some reason, God used it that day to see my mom's pain hit my heart. And I fell to the ground and I said, I need help. And my family being who they were like, yes, you need to go to Paris. Like, you need to get out of here. You haven't recovered from Roger's death. You've been spiraling. And I'm like, Paris it is. Bonjour. I heard they have all good wine, And I started to detox at home. And I said, Mom, you got to get me to the doctors. She gets me to my doctors, and my doctor sits my parents down, and he said she does not need detox. I mean, she doesn't need Paris. She needs a detox. And off I went. I went into a 30-day treatment center in Salem, Massachusetts. And it's where I learned about a disease called alcoholism. I learned that I'm different mentally, physically, spiritually, just different. I have an allergy. You give me alcohol, I'm mental. I'm already mental without it. It just makes it even grow bigger. And I remember like just being in there. I was 20 years old, and I was like, wow, like I'm the youngest one in here. I haven't lost a house, a family, a business like these other people have. And I just kept on raising my hand, like, how do you have a glass of wine on Prince Spaghetti Wednesday? That's all. And they were like, oh, just keep coming, kid. Keep listening, And so I went through that program, and then I completed a 6-week program after it. And then I started to go to AA. And what I really took from that facility was that the first drink gets me drunk. And I'm like, or I kept that, like, wow, it's that one. So I do everything that you're not supposed to do in AA. Boy meets girl. Hey, how are you? And are you new? Yeah, me too. Let's go grab a drink. And I says, but when the bartender, we have to order 2 because there's something effed up in that first one. So we can't drink it. So whatever one the bartender puts down, push it to the side and drink the second one, because whatever's in that first one is the one that really screws us up. Right. And that was my thinking. And sounded like a good plan, but off and running. Here we go again. There's nothing worse at this time of my life now to have a head full of information about addiction and alcoholism and a belly full of booze. Suicidal thoughts, depression, everything, like, why can't I get it? And then my last drunk was really nothing huge. We were at my friend's birthday party. I went to go sit on a bar stool that wasn't there. And when I fell on the floor, my drink fell on me, and I didn't want to keep my clothes on because they were wet. So I started taking them off. And that's when my friends were like, you got to go. Put me in the car, take me up. And I woke up the next day and fell on my knees. And I swore to God I'd never drink again. And I haven't. And that was October 16th, 1987. And that's an absolute miracle. I got sober at 20 years old, 2 months before my 21st birthday. But the damage that I did from 16 to 20 was enough damage that for me to hit my bottom. But I also know God was doing for me what I couldn't do for myself. When I fell on my knees, I said, God, if you're real, not only do you have to show me how to not drink, you need to show me how to live. And he's like, okay, I'll show you. And he did. I struggled with AA. I didn't want to be an alcoholic. I would cross my fingers, because if you cross your fingers when you lie, it's really not a lie. And I'd go to meetings and say, I'm an alcoholic, and just do this whole jig with myself. And God is so funny and so large to me. And mind you, I still am not liking God at this point in my recovery. And my very first meeting, this gentleman told my story. And I leaped after him and I grabbed him by the throat and I said, did my therapist call you and tell you I was going to be here tonight? And he's like, no, but you just keep coming, girl. And I was like, yeah, I just couldn't believe it, So when I started to do some of the steps, I was blessed that my recovery went the way that it did. My first time going through the steps was through the Hazelton version. And I know God went that way for me because the Hazelton version asks specific questions. And I honestly don't think if those questions weren't asked, that I don't think I would have disclosed the information that I disclosed. And I released a lot of trauma. And that was the first huge opening to my recovery. So then I start going through the steps, the blue 12 and 12 book, and I'm sponsoring women. And, like I went from the poster child of what not to do to, the queen of AA and sponsoring and just commitments and just filling my time with Alcoholics Anonymous. And by the time I'm 11 years sober, I'm suicidal in AA. And that's when I was like, wow, like this really is more than a drinking disease. And it really hit me. 11 years sober, I'm on top of a very high building and I'm going to jump because AA is not working anymore. And I'm literally screwed because AA was the last straw on the left. An intervention happened, met with a crisis team, telling them how AA doesn't work. And the woman says, have you ever been to Big Book Step Study? Have you gone through the process? And I was like, hate those people. They don't let you talk. They think they know better, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, perfect, because that's going to be part of your treatment plan. My very first Big Book Step Study meeting, God, once again, has a huge sense of humor. And this woman says, "Hi, my name is Jane. I was 11 years sober and suicidal in AA." And I just started to cry. And then I was taken through the process, the way that it's laid out, the way that our founders went through it, and how the first 100 individuals went through it and stayed sober. And that process forever changed my life. I never, going through AA or anything, looked at what part I played in a resentment. I never knew how to do a turnaround, and that is where I learned. Once I completed that process, my recovery changed, my relationship with God changed, my relationship with people changed. Like, the most humiliating part for me was going through the process was writing my resentments, and my resentments were that of a sober woman. And that was humiliating for me, because I'm 11 years sober doing writing. So I just know that that whole process brought me to my knees and allowed my my sponsor to take my hand and put it into the hand of God. And my life has been an amazing journey ever since. It's a healing journey. Still haven't graduated. It's just like one day at a time, and levels of my onion just continue to get peeled. Different addictions I had to address, different things I had to address. And it's just, not just drinking just isn't what it's all about. For me, it's about living life. And when I rebuilt my relationship with God, my life has forever changed. Like, he saved me to serve. He didn't save me to sit. And I do big and bold things with my recovery, only to bring glory to his name. Like, I don't sit there and say, "Oh, good job." I'm like, "God, where are we going today?" You're gonna speak at Notre Dame University. Okay, like, and off on a plane. Here I go. Everything that is in my life is God-given and God-driven, because I surrender on a daily basis. I'm still on my hands and knees at 34 years of sobriety. God, please remove the obsession for alcohol, drugs, sex, men and women, and please use me the way that you want to use me. Right now I'm going through a really funky time where I'm separated from my husband, and it's just bizarre. It's a really awkward place to be. And I just know that God knows what he's doing, like, because I don't. I'm totally clueless over this. And I just know, like, God didn't carry me this far to drop me now. And the truth will be revealed. And I just need to leave it at that. And but what I also noticed is that I haven't been staying faithful on my 10th step inventory. So I was like, you know what? I need to start doing my writing at night again and sending it over to my sponsor, because this disease is powerful, cunning, and baffling. It would love more than nothing than to see me hammered, fall down, drunk, dead. And I'm not gonna let it win. My journey has impacted numerous of people. And I know one day when I get to heaven, like, I'm gonna see how God used me, which is really a cool thing when I think about it. And that's it. I'm so grateful to be here on a meeting on a Saturday night. From here, I'm going to a concert with my sober best friend, Dina. And like, life is life. There's just so much more to it without alcohol, not even just without alcohol, but with the way that I think and the way that I process and the way that I articulate. Like, I am still sensitive, like, going through the process and removing alcohol. It never didn't take any of that, like, change me. I'm still that girl. However, I handle things differently because the way that I think. And that's where my miracle happened. So thank you all for your attention tonight. I appreciate you allowing me to be here on your time. And I'm going to open it up for everyone to speak. Thank you very much.
That concludes this episode of Friends in Recovery Saturday Shares.